And on the other side, you have the guy running in New York, Mamdani, right? Okay, who's like a straight-up communist. I mean, he is. He talks about, you know, the things that communists say. I mean, he wants free grocery stores, free bus.
Bill Maher just unleashed on Zohran Mamdani in a live TV moment that instantly became the center of online conversation. What started as a routine discussion quickly escalated when Maher zeroed in on Mamdani's ultra-progressive vision, dissecting his ideas with sharp humor, pointed criticism, and the kind of fearless commentary he's known for. Maher joked that Mamdani's proposals practically serve as campaign ads for conservatives, a line that hit hard and visibly shifted the tone of the exchange. From there, Maher delivered a rapid-fire breakdown of Mamdani's talking points, challenging the practicality behind his policies and exposing the ideological clash between idealism and real-world governance. The result is a takedown that's anything but subtle. It's bold, relentless, and packed with Maher's trademark wit. Every moment feels unpredictable, fast-moving, and charged with tension, making this one of those rare live TV confrontations you can't pause, skip, or look away from for even a second.
Who's the most popular politician on the left?
AOC? I don't know.
One of, but who's, you know, Bernie is,
Bernie, yeah.
Bernie is, I mean, he's not a capitalist, you know?
No, he's not. And he's also not president.
He's not, but
never would be.
But neither is Mamdani.
No, no, but he will, trust me, he will be featured in the campaign commercials.
But they're going to feature people, they boogeyman everybody.
Yeah, but you don't have to boogeyman him. He does it to himself.
Maher isn't wrong. Republicans don't have to invent a frightening caricature of Zohran Mamdani when he steps into the role every time he opens his mouth. With Mamdani gaining momentum toward a potential New York mayoral run, critics warn his rise would hand the GOP a political victory on a silver platter, a bright, blinking sign that Democrats are drifting into ideological fantasy. Mamdani insists he's merely a democratic socialist, but that reassurance only seems to resonate with his own cheering base. And Maher isn't buying any of it. To him, Mamdani represents the starry-eyed, left-wing idealism that may sound noble, but ultimately gives conservatives a perfectly packaged talking point.
This must be horrible for a guy like you, who you spent your whole life talking about how government tries to do too much, which it does, and spends too much. And here you have Trump, who is the Republican, who is aggrandizing more power than anybody, as we just talked about. And on the other side, you have the guy running in New York, Mamdani, right? Okay, who's like a straight-up communist. I mean, he is. He talks about, you know, the things that communists say. I mean, he wants free grocery stores, free buses.
I want him to win.
You want him to win?
Yeah.
At first glance, the pitch glows with a utopian shine full of warm promises and the kind of applause that belongs on a magazine cover. But tug at the edges even slightly, and the glitter fades fast, revealing something far less inspiring beneath the surface. Dreamers may swoon over the vision. But for anyone who has watched past socialist experiments collapse under their own weight, this feels less like progress and more like history's cold rerun, dressed up as hope all over again.
I think every 20 years or so.
Wait.
We need every 20 years or so, we need a conspicuous, confined experiment with socialism so we can crack it up again. Socialist slogan used to be, workers of the world unite, you have nothing to lose but your chains. The new socialist slogan is, trust us, this time it won't be a mess.
Socialist projects have stumbled so many times that most people treat the ideology like a hot stove they've burned their hand on. The exception, of course, is the younger generation, dazzled by shiny promises of fairness, free-for-all futures, and utopian ideals. The problem isn't selfishness, it's human nature. People thrive on challenge, on incentives, on knowing that effort and ideas truly matter. Strip away competition and flatten rewards, and the engines that drive progress stall. Bureaucrats multiply, inefficiency creeps in, and systems designed for equality can quickly sour into mazes of waste and frustration. History has made this point loudly. When the government tries to control everything, the machine eventually buckles under the load. Mamdani's proposals, full of state handouts and sweeping regulation, may look noble on paper, but in practice, they wobble. Without space to innovate, trade, and dream freely, progress slows to a crawl, leaving everyone equal, not in prosperity, but in disappointment.
When the post-war Labour government in Britain was about to get started, one of their leading lights was a socialist named Nurian Bevan. He said, what could go wrong? He said, we have a nation bedded on coal, surrounded by fish. It would take an organizational genius to have a shortage of either. In 3 years, they had a shortage of both.
Britain offers a stark historical warning. In the early 20th century, the country embraced socialist ideals, promising fairness, shared wealth, and a level playing field for all citizens. At first, it sounded bold and even humane. But over time, the grand vision faltered as dynamic industries placed under state control were bogged down by layers of red tape. Production collapsed, prices surged, and the economic engine barely limped along. The equality so passionately pursued didn't lift the masses, it held nearly everyone back. By the 1970s, Britain had earned the grim nickname the sick man of Europe. It wasn't until Thatcher's market-driven reforms that the nation began to shake off stagnation and claw its way back to economic vitality.
Beyond saying that we're going to make a sanctuary city for LGBTQIA plus New Yorkers, beyond saying that we're going to establish an office of LGBTQIA plus affairs, is also that we're going to provide $65 million in funding for gender-affirming care, the same amount of funding that the federal government threatened to pull out from local providers for that kind of.
Maher worries that Zohran Mamdani could become a political trapdoor for Democrats, the kind that pushes the party away from the center and into serious trouble. He knows that when Democrats drift too far left, they risk losing the moderates who often decide elections. Many voters supported Donald Trump as a reaction to what they saw as progressive overreach, including heated debates around youth gender-affirming care. Yet Mamdani seems poised to march straight back into that cultural wildfire. Critics note that he is championing major private fundraising for policies tied to these contentious issues, doubling down on one of the most emotionally charged fights in American politics. For Democrats who value pragmatism over purity tests, Mamdani's blueprint isn't bold, it's potentially disastrous. It hands Republicans a ready-made argument that the left has strayed from common sense, real-world priorities, and the concerns of everyday voters.
He has attacked you personally and publicly like this.
He's not a socialist. He's a communist, okay? This is not a socialist, man. This is a communist.
I don't like to see a communist become mayor, I will tell you that.
I call him my little communist. He's my little communist mayor. We should never be in a position where we're talking about a communist.
We're going to end up with a communist mayor. It's not even believable, my beautiful New York. I think if a communist takes over New York City, I think that's a gift to the Republican Party.
No sugarcoating it. Trump doesn't need to cast Zohran Mamdani as a specter. Mamdani does that himself. He's proposed government-run grocery stores, free citywide transit, and other plans that put the state at the center of everyday life, while he calls himself a democratic socialist. His rhetoric and policies closely mirror the far-left playbook, raising concerns for moderates. Noble intentions aside, his platform fits neatly into the narrative that Democrats are moving toward full-blown socialism. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, the rest practically writes itself.
This vision of democratic socialism, it's one that often comes back to what Martin Luther King said decades ago. A vision of, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism, there must be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country. Here in New York City, wealthiest city in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, 1 in 4 are in poverty. 500,000 kids go to sleep hungry every night. It's untenable to live with this kind of a divide. We have to actually have a politics that puts working people first.
A curious thing happens when you look closer at Mamdani's pitch. To some, it might sound shiny and new, but in reality, it's a rerun of political slogans from the past. Lofty promises of fairness, equal opportunity, and shared prosperity are wrapped in stirring language and selectively chosen data meant to inspire belief. History, however, shows a familiar pattern. Once the applause fades and power settles in, the romantic veneer cracks, policies emerge that hinder achievement and stifle enterprise. That's not the path. New York or the nation's strength has always come from the freedom to build, compete, innovate, and chase possibility, not from micromanaged ambitions and enforced sameness. Betting against the formula that created American prosperity rarely ends well. And if the past has a voice here, it's warning the ending won't change. Maher, ever the realist beneath the jokes, sees that coming from miles away.
I want to speak to the memory of my aunt. Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Well, it wasn't so much his aunt as his dad's cousin, but, semantics. Douglas, is he ready to lead?
No, in absolutely no way is he ready to lead, and that was just another reminder of it. This is such a self-involved little narcissist with so little going for him.
And that's the playbook, isn't it? Craft slightly embellished, heart-tugging tales to stir emotion.
And that's the playbook, isn't it? Craft slightly embellished. Heart-tugging stories to stir emotion and gather support, an old political trick polished to perfection. For Democrats fluent in identity-driven storytelling, Zohran Mamdani's narrative is tailor-made, sentimental, symbolic, framed in virtue, and presented as progress through empathy. The political machine will likely celebrate him as a champion of the unheard and a moral compass for the city. But anyone looking past the soft focus framing and carefully curated language sees something different. Poetic monologues and staged hardship aren't the same as solid leadership. Mamdani's story may captivate idealists, but to pragmatists, it's stagecraft. Gracefully delivered and emotionally precise, yet disappointingly hollow where real substance should be.
But he even decides to turn the memory of 9/11 and the 3,000 Americans that day into a story about his aunt and the subway. It's interesting, like so many things that this smarmy candidate does, he makes it about himself and it all turns out to be untrue anyway. It seems to the extent that he had any such aunt in question, she wasn't in New York at the time, and in any case, didn't wear the headscarf.
It turns out that the warm, glowing origin story around Zohran Mamdani doesn't shine quite as brightly when you look closely. Yet in deep blue New York, different rules often apply. Allegiance can outweigh evidence. And Mamdani looks poised to glide into office despite the warning signs history and critics already show. The suspense isn't whether he wins it. What happens when campaign poetry meets the hard realities of governing one of the world's most complex cities? Slogans are easy. Running New York is a completely different arena. Watching Mamdani confront that weight will be fascinating. His rise isn't necessarily a triumph for progressive. Reads more like a cautionary tale. Behind the polished speeches and sugar-dusted socialist dreams sits a philosophy history hasn't exactly celebrated. Maher's alarm bells ring for a reason. If Mamdani leads New York down that path, the consequences could extend far beyond City Hall, potentially reshaping the Democratic brand itself.